Well, hey everybody. Welcome to the update preview stream. This is Bugs here. I'm joined today by Artemis and Miss D. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
So, what do we have going on today? Well, we are 1 week away from the big update and forced wipe. That is going to be next week, Thursday, March 2nd at 2 p.m. Eastern. And as always, what we're going to go do is go through what's going on in Rust development, what we're going to see potentially come in the update next week, and have a chance to answer some questions from the audience if we have any. So, if you have any questions as we're going through this, as always, feel free to ask Miss D, that's me, in chat, and we'll get to as many questions as we have the opportunity to. Also, before we get into it, a lot of people generally ask on Thursdays, when's WIP and what servers are wiping? Well, for this week and for today, for Rustafied servers, it is the weekly Thursday wipe servers. And that's your mains, your smalls, your barons, EUS in EU, and Zen Labs. And those are wiping at regular scheduled time, 3 p.m. local time for the region. And so that means all regions except for US have wiped already. EU wiped 3 hours ago. AU and SEA wiped like 11, 12 hours ago because they live in the future, of course. And then US servers will wipe in 2 hours at 3 p.m. EST. Once again, it's going to be US main, small, Baron, and Zen Labs wiping. And then, of course, 1 week from today, the big update comes out and will force a wipe on all servers across the board. No sign of a forced blueprint wipe, although pretty much all Rustified servers wipe blueprints when the forced update and wipe hit. The exception to that, of course, is our US and EU Medium 3 servers, which only wipe blueprints when forced. So let's get into it. What do we have going on today? Well, as you can see here, drones are the name of the game this week. And actually, I'll zoom that out a little bit because it's not just drones, it's surveillance, really, is seemingly the priority of this upcoming update. And with that, what we have, if you missed last week, there are RC drones, which can be deployed and flown around to surveil stuff. There's also now manually controlled auto turrets, which are controlled in a very similar way to how the drones are controlled through a computer terminal. And then also just this week, we got the PTZ camera coming in, which stands for point, tilt, and zoom. And so surveillance really is what is going on here, ramping up the ability for people to surveil around their base and keep an eye on what's going on. So first, let's talk about the drones for a minute because these are pretty cool. The RC drones can be crafted. They are 200 metal frags, 2 tech trash, and 1 CCTV camera to craft. Workbench level 2, 30 seconds to craft, and then you kind of deploy it out wherever you like. And then the trick with these is you got to set an identifier number or not just a number, it can be whatever, phrase you could say. You set the identifier on it, and then you go to a computer terminal and type in the same identifier, and then boom, you got those puppies paired up. And from there, what you can do at the computer terminal is you can tune into the drone, you can take it off, or take off the drone. Oh man, you can have the drone take off.
You can fly,
I'm
man.
yeah, the drone doesn't have clothes, and it's not like you're taking them off, but you can make the drone fly with I kept trying to say that, it just wasn't coming out right, but you can make the drone fly with shift, and that makes it go up, and then you just control it like a mini copter, kind of, and you can travel around. Now, this week, what we saw last week when we first saw this on the aux branch, it didn't really have a range, so you could just keep going and going and going, which of course is not how drones work, and it's not how this would work. So there is now a 250-meter range for the time being for these drones. Uh, Artemis, are we seeing any type of time limiter or battery life or anything on these drones at the moment?
Not at the moment, no. At the moment, it seems to be the range that is the limiting factor.
Yeah, so only real limiting factor now is going to be range and damage because they are pretty weak. If you've ever like flown a drone in real life, you'll know that most of the process is charging the battery, figuring out how to do it. You get up in the air, and in about 30 seconds on your first flight, you crash the thing and break it, and then you got to go replace some propellers or whatever. And that's RC life, right? So with that, it's pretty much the same in here, although they did up the ability, like the damage of the drones a little bit. So they're a little bit stronger than last week. Last week, if you like sneezed on them, they would just break. And this week, in the commits, apparently they are a bit more durable. And it looks like as it stands now, you can put a drone up and be just hanging out with it for any period of time. I don't know if they're going to add a battery or a lifespan, but once again, the limiting factor right now is the 250-meter radius. And you can see once you get into that radius, you'll have some fuzziness start fading up on the screen. And if you go too far out of range, you'll just lose range. So keep that in mind. They can, of course, be shot out of the air. They're not very durable and everything like that. So you are going to want to be mindful of that just before you drop 200 metal frags, two tech trash, and a CCTV camera. Um, yeah, just keep in mind that they can be shot out, and um they're likely going to be. But now, next, on top of drones, we have the PTZ camera made it into staging this week. And this is just another form of surveillance. And if you're like me and you're like, PTZ camera, what is that? Point tilt zoom is what that PTZ stands for. And it's a pretty good descriptor of what that camera can do because it can point and tilt, and it can even, surprise, surprise, zoom in. So once you give it power, it takes like 5 Rust watts to run. Then you do a similar thing to the drone. You set an identifier on it, and you go to the computer terminal, type that identifier in, and then you can use your mouse to look around. And then to zoom, you can left click and it'll zoom in. There are 4 levels of zoom that you kind of toggle through. So if you want to get a better view of something, you point towards there, and you can just zoom in on it. And now these are deployed only on ceilings and roofs. So you can't just put these any old place willy-nilly. But you can be strategic about, the corners of your bases or whatever. And really, with these cameras, get a full 360 view of the outside of your base from the comfort of the inside of your base. You can have like a control room deep in your base and just log into these cameras, get a view of what's going on out there. And now, even with the new manually controlled turrets, you can then on your computer terminal, if you see someone coming and you're like, oh, these guys are coming my way, go out of the PTZ camera, go over to the manual turret mode, and then you can light them up just from the comfort of your computer terminal inside your base. So, pretty interesting new features being added for base surveillance and base protection. Now, also, there's some other projects being worked on, and we're not sure if we're going to see these come in next week or if they're going to take, a couple weeks longer. But we do have weapon racks being worked on, and this was, of course, a Hack Week project from Hack Week late last year. And with some of the Hack Week projects, we just see some commits and then they go into concept limbo or just never make it into the game. But Weapon Racks is one of those ones that looks like it will indeed be making it into the game. We're not sure if there's going to be multiple size weapon racks. We did see in some early commits, like the idea of a small, medium, large weapon rack, but not sure if that's making it to production or there's just going to be one size. What's cool about the weapon racks, though, is along with just displaying the weapons that are in the rack visually, as opposed to them just going into a box somewhere where you can't see them or a locker, on top of being able to see them, you'll be able to go up to the rack and point at the specific weapon you want, and then just pull it right out of there without any UI uh, inventory interaction. And then what's cool is on the flip side of that too, if you want to put a weapon back on the rack, you can just toss it, drop it in the general direction, and the rack will suck it up, apparently. This is based on what the commits are saying. Weapon racks, of course, are still not merged in, so we can't show them off yet. But given the velocity of commits and what we've been seeing around that, it does seem like weapon racks are definitely going to make it into the game. And I think maybe potentially could even make it in for next week. But I give it like a 50-50 on that. Now, also, we have some new gameplay metrics being worked on. And this is a really interesting one. It's not going to impact you as a player too much, but it's going to be a really cool tool for the developers to get further insight and transparency into the real meta of what the players of the game are doing in the servers, what's being utilized, what's not being utilized, and then from there, be able to modify and balance the game accordingly. So these gameplay metrics are basically going to be tracking overall player things such as like blueprints learned, repairs, purchases, food consumption, and more. And yeah, ideally with that, we'll basically be able to just, and I don't know if this is going to be for the server owners to look at too. I get the sense it's going to be a separate like SQLite database on the server end. So I imagine server owners will be able to tap into it, and we're already experimenting and playing and planning to do a stat system for our servers and players in our servers. And ideally, we're going to have something for that later this year. And I'm excited to see this gameplay metrics thing because this could be a great addition to that stats. And the more the game itself tracks these things, the less we have to go in there and manually put in things to track things, which of course adds extra overhead, which can take away from performance, which quite frankly is why we haven't done player stats up to this point, because performance is such a fine tuned thing. There's not much buffer zone or wiggle room there with performance. And if you add a couple things, then performance can just go to crap. So we've been focusing on that. But with the addition of gameplay metrics and things like that, that could really be a valuable tool, not only for developers, but just a great thing for server owners to be able to share as a resource with their communities. So we'll keep a close eye on that. That's a pretty new branch, so I doubt that we're going to see it go live with the update next week, but maybe we will see an initial, like, bare bones version of it go live soon. Also, there's a number of miscellaneous fixes going on in the commits, and these we probably will see go live next week, as we generally do see miscellaneous fixes and things like that go live every month. Included in those fixes, we got a bunch of things for poker, just random fringe cases for poker that just weren't operating or behaving properly. There's also fixes for Incrept Jib SFX for stone triangle floor plus ramp, just some SFX fixes, you know. Some fixes for small and huge sign deployment, not working on all walls, and also a fix for repair indicator not appearing when hitting a damaged item if the player has no relevant repair items in their inventory. So just some miscellaneous, like, little quality of life things and fringe case glitches that came about and are being fixed. Now, we of course have some other stuff being worked on as well. In that realm, the attack helicopter is still making good progress. If you are not aware, the attack helicopter is kind of going to be like a big brother to the minicopter. Instead of having wheels like the minicopter, it will have skis to move around. So might just be deployed in the Arctic type of thing, maybe, not sure. But then also the attack part of it, of course, it will have some type of, way of shooting something. And it looks like, based on the commits this week, it looks like that thing that will be being shot is rockets. So not sure if there'll be a gun and rockets, if you'll be able to choose or what. But based on commits, it looks like there will be a weapon, an offensive, capability that this helicopter has, and probably the pilot will fly, and then there's going to be a like mounted camera, kind of like this PTV camera, I get the sense, or like how the manual auto turrets are working, but that's going to be mounted on the helicopter, and then I guess the passenger will be able to tune into that and control that camera and control the firing of whatever weapon it is firing. So that's going to be an interesting new attack helicopter, a new vehicle coming in. Not sure if that's going to be next week. Given we're not seeing it on staging at all, I think probably not. But anything's possible. We could see it sneak its way in. Also, there's more work on the nuclear missile silo. This is, of course, the newest monument to make its way into the game. And no visuals on this yet. Not a lot from the devs, other than just seeing consistent commits towards that every single week. And that's been worked on for a while now. But keep in mind with these monuments, they are really hand built from the ground up and completely custom designed and handcrafted from the devs. And so, historically speaking, the monuments do take months and months of production, of development to get ready for, actual live gameplay action. So, I don't think the nuclear missile silo is coming next week. I doubt next month, but maybe end of quarter one, quarter two. No, end of quarter one is like end of next month. So I'd say quarter two, maybe we'll see it. That would be my guess. Also, they're fixing some edge cases of underground train entrance stairs not connecting to the underground line. There's some more zipline dismount fixes. It seems like every week we're seeing more fixes to dismounting of zip lines. So this week is no different. A couple more of those. They removed map name from being searched when using the server browser. Yeah, not sure about that one. And also auto select the text box when opening the RC identifier dialog. That's just a little quality of life thing. So when you're going to set an identifier on one of these new things, either the RC or whatever, it just will auto focus on that text box. So you can just start typing without having to go in there and click it. And they reworked some stuff with storage adapter deploy volumes. Basically, there were some things where it would clip into something solid and then you couldn't access the sockets due to the width check of the pipes. So that's been resolved. So some of those fringe cases where you might end up like, I can't quite get to that socket, that should be easier now. And yeah, that about does it for what's going on in Rust development. Really, it looks like the update next week is going to be very heavy on base surveillance through these RC drones, the manual turrets, and the PTZ camera. And yeah, any questions from the audience?
Not a ton, but we have some. Is Force Wipe today or next week?
Force Wipe is next week.
And when does the Rustafied servers wipe?
So for today, we wipe at the regular scheduled time, which is 3 p.m. local time for the region. We used to be last year 5 p.m. local time for the region. We did at the beginning of this year move it up 2 hours to maximize gameplay time on wipe days, and also to get closer to the forced map wipe time every month because that is 2 p.m. Eastern at least. So that is what's going on today with the Rustified map wipes. It is the Thursday weekly wipe servers, and they did wipe at 3 p.m. local time. The most recent one being EU wiping just over 3 hours ago. EU main, small, Baron, Zenlabs, and EUS. AU and SEA wiped like 11, 12 hours ago, and then US will wipe in just over an hour and a half from now, 3 p.m. Eastern. You'll see US main, small, Baron, and Zenlabs wipe. And then next week, we've got the forced wipe and update, and that's expected to hit at the regular time, which is 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT. And of course, we'll be here at 1 p.m. Eastern to give you a full preview of what's coming in the update. And also make sure to check out every week rustified.com because I do an article every Thursday that summarizes everything going on in development in pictures and text.
I just posted the link in chat.
Nice. Thank you.
Let me see the next one. Does it show the player that kills you with the turret, or does it only show turret?
Oh, good question. Can we test that out real quick?
Yeah, good question. Shadow, do you mind sacrificing yourself?
Oh, hell no. And Shadow?
She's like,
Who's Shadow?
who's
Oh,
Shadow?
yeah, my bad. Here we go again.
No, it's fine. Let me de-off on that.
And Dee's like, hell no, I'm not falling for that one again.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
I
have to
got
come
a
up to the
idea.
roof. Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Oh,
come up to the roof. Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
don't worry about it, man.
hold on.
Just
Let
come
me
up.
take God mode off too.
Wait for it.
Okay, now God mode should be off.
Yeah.
Come on, kill me. Um.
Sure about that God mode thing?
You sure?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm gonna die now.
Ah, yeah. Yep.
It says auto turret and assault rifle. Yeah, so
Yeah, I
turret
thought
only.
so. Yeah, yep. No, nope. Anonymous killing.
Yep, anonymous turret murder.
You also have control over when to reload with the guns.
Yeah, just with R, right? Do you have to hold R or just tap it?
No, just tap it. Yep. And
Cool, I
then
thought so,
you
yeah.
sort of have a period where you can't shoot while it's reloading.
Yeah, makes sense. I see someone in chat saying good game can't report cheaters, and I just want to remind everyone that on Rustified servers at least, we do have a slash report feature in game. Also, if you go to our Discord, rustified.com/discord, you can also do slash report in there. And it all works together. You get a report ID, and then if we do actually take action on the person you reported, you will get a message back saying they were kicked, muted, or banned, depending on what we did.
One sec, I just had to spawn back to my body. Can you throw grenades or Molotov from the drone?
No. At the moment, no type of offensive weaponry on the drones. They are purely for reconnaissance and surveillance.
Is this about PC update next week or console today?
Oh, this is all PC stuff. We do not track console. Console is like, for all intents and purposes, a different game. And I know it's the same name, but the functionality of it and the gameplay is very different than PC. And in fact, the development team is completely different for console and PC. And so we just focus on the PC development. That's where we've always been focusing. And yeah, so all the stuff we're talking about is just for the PC version.
Let me see the next one. Does the auto turret attack the drones? Like enemy turrets?
Uh, did we test that last week? I don't think it did, right?
Yeah, as far as I know, it doesn't at the moment. No.
Hey, my buddy told me about getting weapons on my mini. Is that going to be next force wipe or is it still up in the air?
He was probably talking about the attack helicopter, and it doesn't look like that's going to be next Force Wipe because it's still on a separate branch and very much in development. And given we're only 1 week from the update, I doubt it's going to squeak its way in. But that attack helicopter is being worked on. It's going to be like a big brother to the minicopter. It has skis instead of wheels, which is interesting. But more importantly, it's going to have these offensive capabilities, at least a rocket, but I think also maybe a gun. That gun and rocket will be controlled with some sort of, it looks like gimbaled camera that the passenger can control and aim. So it looks like the type of thing where the pilot will just control where the copter goes, and then the passenger probably will focus on aiming the weapon through that gimbaled system. That's all my sense of it, at least based on what we've seen on commits. The devs haven't really released any specifics or images about it yet. But all that said, I do not think it will be in for next week. I think at the very least, we're going to be looking April for a launch of the attack helicopter at the earliest.
Is there going to be an RC auto turret hazmat recall nerf?
I mean, there better be, but it better come in like the middle of the night on a Friday morning, right after Force Wipe.
Is there any news/changes on the Forgotten Snowmobiles?
No, we haven't seen any real changes or updates with regards to the snowmobiles at all.
So when do you expect all this to come in?
Well, when we're looking at drones and the manual turrets and the PTZ camera, we're looking next week. And it looks like next week the update, I don't know what they're going to call it, but I would guess something like the base surveillance update or something like that, because that really is what it's shaping up to be. The drones can fly around within 250 meters of yourself and really monitor whatever. They can peek in windows, as we can see here. The PTZ camera mounted on ceilings or roofs around your base and then controlled with a computer terminal as well. And of course, the manual turrets controlled with a computer terminal as well, all through this new idea of setting identifiers. Well, it's not a new idea. We have that elsewhere, uh, but now it's like rolling that in and identifying these things and then being able to tap into them with a computer terminal. That all appears to be coming next week. When we go into the other stuff, the weapon racks, the gameplay metrics, the attack helicopter, and the nuclear missile silo, all those look like they're going to be more ongoing projects that we might see at the earliest uh, April or beyond.
Hello. There was a commit that fixed filter fail behavior when you're using the max filter on a conveyor. Will that be fixed in the next update?
Well, I'm not sure what's coming in the next update with regards to the conveyor stuff. We did earlier in the month see some more tweaks and kind of changes to conveyors. And specifically, when we talk about industrial stuff and the improvements we've seen, if we look at last week, what we saw with the conveyors, they did do some stuff with regards to the filtering of um, having a require all filter mode that disables the min max filters. And then they have a new field called buffer that acts like the old minimum system. So it'll transfer blocks of X amount of items. And then the minimum field will now transfer everything over given the value in the input container. So, like, if you put a minimum of 10 wood, it'll transfer all the wood until there's 10 left and then stop. Um, so, those are some of the changes with conveyors, and crafters also are going to have three blueprint slots. Uh, now, three more blueprint slots. So, four total blueprint slots on the industrial crafter. And basically, all four BP slots will be accessible via the in out industrial ports, and then the crafter can only make one item at a time, but it'll attempt to make them in sequence to left to right. So basically, if you've got four blueprints in there, it'll take whatever resources it has feeding in and try to make the blueprint on the left first. If it can't make that, it'll go and try to make the next one, and accordingly. And they're also doing some stress testing with like having more containers be able to be manipulated with a conveyor, so even up to 64 boxes manipulated with one container. I'm not sure if that's going to be what goes live. Excuse me, my voice is a little messed up. Getting over a little thingy thing, but yeah, not sure if it's going to be 64 or not. But it's all to say there are a bunch of industrial improvements that we do expect also to go live next week, and that could really have an impact on how your conveyors work and um, specifically how you set up all that stuff. You there, Miss D?
Yes. Hi, I have a request damage. A request. Damage and range of the tower you can control. Is it as the normal tower or more or less?
So the turret range that you can control, it's Artemis, correct me if I'm wrong, but given that you can control the fire, you can actually have it start firing further off than it would otherwise fire. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. So it's basically according to your view, right? So if you can see somebody further than the turret would usually start shooting, then yeah, you can aim at them and shoot.
Yeah, yeah. So it's definitely a lot more efficient and better to manually control your turret than just have the turret do whatever, because people can fake out the turret and all that stuff and dodge it. And when you have full control of the turret, you've got not only more range and visibility, but you're smarter than the turret's going to be.
What does it cost? What does it take to craft a drone?
It is 200 metal frags, 2 tech trash, and 1 CCTV camera at the moment, and level 2 workbench. And keep in mind, all that stuff may change. This is still in development. So, check back next week for the final numbers. And as always, what we're going to have on rustified.com is the update post prior to this update going live. It's actually, the article goes up Thursday at midnight Eastern. So, first thing Thursday, every Thursday. And so, check back there next week on rustified.com for the final crafting numbers if they change. But as it stands now, 200 metal frags, 2 tech trash, and 1 CCTV camera will get you a drone, providing you got that workbench level 2.
Is the drone range linked to the base's computer station, or can you plot one down on the other side of the map and have your teammate control it from base?
Uh,
For example, to do, oh goddamn Higgs, this reconnaissance on the map.
Reconnaissance, yeah. And I'll
Yeah, on
stop
the
you right
base.
there. It's based on the computer terminal.
Okay.
And no, you can't fly players up with the drones. You can't lift anything up with the drones. You can't like buzz someone's head off with the drone. You can't do like grenade drop on a trench. I know that's very popular in media these days, unfortunately, but no sign of the ability to do any stuff like that. It's really just, it's like a DJI Mavic, it's like a cinema drone, but, in Rust.
Can neighbors control your turret if they guess the identifier name from their computer station, or do you have to have the turret auth to control it?
Well, if they're a close neighbor and they guessed it, then I suppose, yeah, they could. But the thing is, if, say you've got a drone called Droney and you're at one side of the map and then someone else on the other side of the map, you know, puts in their computer terminal Droney, although they got the ID right, they're going to be way out of range to operate the drone.
I think as well,
Let me
correct me if I'm wrong, it's based on auth at the moment as well for using the actual,
Oh yeah, good point as
yeah.
well.
let's do a recap.
All right, let's do a little recapity cap here. So we are towards the end of the month here for Rust development, and this is the last Thursday of the month. And so with that, our weekly Thursday wipe servers are wiping today. For Rustified, that's the mains, small, barons, and Zen Labs. EU servers wiped 3.5 hours ago. AU SEA wiped like 11, 12 and a half hours ago. US servers, the last region for us to wipe today, will wipe in about 90 minutes at 3 p.m. EST. And once again, that's US main, small, Baron, and Zen Labs. Now, in development, what do we have going on? Well, it is shaping up for an update that really is focused on base reconnaissance and base surveillance, really. Because within that, what we've got on the staging branch this week is RC drones, we've got PTZ cameras, and manual turrets. So I'll go through those real quick. The RC drone is 200 metal frags, 2 tech trash, and 1 CCTV camera to craft level 2 workbench. And what you do is you set an identifier on that, and then you go to a computer terminal, you set your identifier there. And then from there, you can log in, view the camera of the drone, hold shift to take off with the drone. Control lowers the drone, and then you can just fly the drone around like you would fly anything else around. It has a range of 250 meters. It's kind of delicate, so it can get shot down, it can get destroyed. There's no offensive capabilities of this drone. You can't fly your friend around with it. It's really just for reconnaissance and surveillance. Now, speaking of surveillance, we also have the PTZ camera. PTZ, of course, standing for point, tilt, and zoom. And these little bad boys you basically mount or deploy on a ceiling or roof. You hook up power. It requires 5 Rust watts to run. And then you, like the drone, can set an ID for the camera and then go to a computer terminal and connect to that camera. With that camera, you can move around all you like, hence the point and tilt functionality. And then, of course, you can also zoom any one of 4 zoom levels. You zoom by just clicking left click, and then it kind of scrolls through those. And that to craft is 1 CCTV camera and 150 metal frags, and also level 2 workbench. Now, also in progress, in play as well, we have the manual turrets, and those same kind of thing. You set an identifier on the turret, you go to the camera, or I'm sorry, the computer terminal, put in that same identifier, and then you can control the turret, point all around, shoot, reload, and the like. The If you kill someone with the manual auto turret, they only see that they were killed by a turret. They don't see who was controlling the turret, FYI. Now, also in other projects, we have weapon racks being worked on. Not sure if those are going to make it in for next week, but will be a pretty cool functionality where you deploy these weapon racks out. You'll be able to see the weapons that are on the rack, point and click to just grab them easily, and also toss them towards the rack to just have the rack pick them up. So less fiddling with UI elements and more just grab and go type of thing, and a cool like weapon display case kind of thing as well. I get the sense of, but not sure if those are going to make it in for next week or not. We also have work on gameplay metrics. So this is a pretty cool thing that won't really impact your gameplay at all as a player, but is going to be really valuable for the devs to get an insight into what players are actually doing in the game. And with that insight, ideally, they'll be able to make more informed decisions around balance and tweaks to the game and gameplay. Also, could be really cool for server owners to use use those metrics in a stat system, which we actually are working on developing. And so it's exciting to see that being worked on because that would be a great add for our upcoming player stat system. And also, we've got miscellaneous fixes. There's various fixes to poker. There's some fixes to incorrect SFX for stone triangle floor frames and ramps together. There were some fixes to small and huge sign deployment not working on some walls, and fix for repair indicators not working sometimes. And then also, we've got some more other stuff, and that includes the attack helicopters being worked on. That's going to be like the big brother to the minicopter. Instead of wheels, it's going to have skis. And more importantly, it's going to have some form of offensive capabilities, including rockets and maybe also a weapon. No visuals on this yet, and still on a separate branch, so don't think it's going to be in for next week, but we will keep you really informed on that. And as soon as it's added to staging, we'll have all the information on Rustafied.com you need to know about that new attack helicopter. Also, we got nuclear missile silos still in the works. That's the newest monument to make its way into the game. It looks like it's going to be a large underground monument when it's ready to go, but doesn't look like next week, and still work to go on that. They fixed some edge cases of underground train entrance stairs not connecting to the underground line. They've done some more zipline dismount fixes and various other quality of life and miscellaneous little things like rework the storage adapter deploy volumes. So there were some times where the sockets would be inaccessible because it was too close to a solid object, and they're just tweaking some stuff with that. And of course, the other thing we have coming next week, it looks like, is some changes to industrial, uh, mainly like conveyor filters and stuff like that. Look like they're going to be changed up, and some other tweaks. And we'll have a full rundown of all of those tweaks to industrial with the update post that we have on rustified.com next Thursday. And the other thing that we have going on that doesn't really impact gameplay or players, but as a server owner, it stands to be a big deal. They are working and actively testing the multi-threaded networking functionality. This is where they're changing the networking from, it was running on a system called RackNet, which is pretty old and depreciated and doesn't get updated anymore and hasn't been for years. Now they're switching over to the Steam networking functionality, and with that, this like multi-threaded networking thing, it stands to drastically improve performance for servers and allow servers to like have much more overhead when it comes to performance, and subsequently hopefully servers can increase pops more freely and all that stuff, because I know we do get a lot of requests for increasing the pop. And at Rustified, we really focus on consistency and performance. I know in the past we have had issues with performance and everything like that. And so, really, my priority now with the servers is providing you the most consistent, performant gameplay possible. And so, we're not playing the game of just squeezing as many people in a server on wipe day as possible. I know some people totally dig that, and much respect, if that's your jam. But we really like to focus on performance and consistency. And hopefully, with this multi threaded networking thing coming out, we'll have some more flexibility with that, because I do understand, several hundred-person queue on wipe day isn't great. And if we can increase the pops a bit more consistently while having performance hold up, that would be advantageous all around. So we're going to be looking at that next week with this multi-threaded networking going live. We're testing the multi-threaded networking on some of our servers today to kind of help the devs and see, what issues are arising. And the intention is that that multi-threaded networking is ready to go next week, and it not only launches smoothly and like pretty much flawlessly, but ideally also really helps improve performance and lower overhead on the server end, so that we as server owners have more flexibility. So that's the other thing going on in the development realm this week. And that about does it for a recap.
Let's take a few more questions then.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hi there. Can I steal drones maybe after raiding a base?
Yeah, I mean, if you get cupboard auth and you get access to the terminal and the drones are around, then yeah, I don't see why not. Artemis D or
Yeah,
anything with that?
also, so if a drone goes out of range, and it basically just falls on the floor, so I'll quickly just show you. It's much HP, so, but if it does survive, then you're able to pick it up.
Yeah, you can just pick it up, run home with it, and set a new identifier, and link it to your terminal.
Can you have a player stand on top of a drone and take off straight into air?
No.
Can we use explode ammo on the turret to raid a door?
You can indeed, yep.
Is there any info on the number of identifiers you can input into one computer station? Is it going to increase, or will you have to need multiple stations to watch all cameras and have turret cameras?
Oh, good question. What's the
Yeah,
max as it stands now?
it is a good question. I'm not sure of the max at the moment, but I haven't noticed any changes. The other thing I was going to say, nice if you had sort of folders for each, because at the moment you've got to kind of individually specify what's what, long lists. So it'd be kind of nice if you had like turrets, cameras, etc.
Yeah, some categories on the computer
Yeah.
terminal view. That would be a really nice quality of life thing. But yeah, I'm actually not sure of the max identifiers on a computer terminal. If anyone wants to say in chat, but based on commits, I haven't seen any changes. If there was a max, I haven't seen any increases to that max. So you might need multiple computer terminals.
I see someone saying, what about attack helicopter? Maybe he's asking if that will attack drones. Not sure.
The attack helicopter is going to be manually controlled, both flight wise and attack wise. So I'm sure they could attack drones if you can land a shot. At the moment, it looks like the attack helicopter, one of the weapons is a rocket, and hitting a drone with a rocket might be a hard endeavor. But I feel like there might also be some sort of gun for the attack helicopter too, but the attack helicopter is still a work in progress, still on a separate branch. And so no visuals yet, no real specifics. We're just going off of what we're seeing in commits. And given it's still on that separate branch, I don't think we're going to see it go live for the update next week.
Are you
Also,
ever going?
sorry, Dee. Also, if
I sorry.
you were asking if the turret could shoot the attack heli, then yeah, it can as well. So that's another possibility.
You mean turret shoot the drone?
Turret shoot the no, sorry. If you're controlling a turret, you can use it to shoot the attack heli if it's near.
Cool, cool. Oh yeah, yeah, good call. Nice, thank you.
Are you ever going to make a solo server?
At the moment, we don't have any plans to open any new servers. We're really focusing with like 40 servers already. We're really focusing on maximizing and optimizing the servers that we have before we consider expanding. When we do consider expanding, solo server is one of the considerations that we have. There's also been a lot of requests for 2x servers, and and I would love to cater to all those demographics, but I don't want to grow too quickly. And I'll be honest, like a couple years ago, that is what happened. We grew too quickly, and the host we had couldn't manage it, and that was the source. If you were playing a couple years ago or whatever, and you're like, oh my god, these servers suck, they're lagging all over the place, that was a byproduct of a little bit of us growing too quickly and not having the right server infrastructure in place. I'm very happy to say that we do have a much better host now. It's better than any other host that we've had in our 10 years of existence, and with it we are consistently getting much better performance. There are occasionally network hitches here and there. It is the internet, things go down occasionally, but overall we're in a much better place than we ever were. And within that, my priority is still maximizing and optimizing those servers that we currently have, and increasing quality of life for our players too. That's why we launched the in-game reporting system, the Discord reporting system. That's why we're working on player stats and improving a bunch of stuff with how we uh, communicate with and how our players operate in the servers. So that's our priority. And within that, we're not growing new servers now. I may consider if we go into next year and I'm really happy with where we're at with our existing server infrastructure, which I intend we will be, then I will consider opening some new servers and I will consider a solo server. But don't hold your breath because it's not planned for anytime soon.
I got a
Uh,
PM here. Sorry. You
That's
want to go,
fine. I was gonna
Artemis?
say, I just tested. So I got up to about 30 on the CCTV. I'm not sure what the hard limit was before, but that's still pretty generous.
Yeah, 30 is pretty good.
If I if I want to report a hacker, is F7 report enough?
You can do F7 report, and we do monitor F7 reports on our servers as well. But I do encourage you, if you're playing on a Rustafied server, to also do slash report. Once again, you can do that in game chat in one of our servers, or you can go into our Discord, rustified.com/Discord, and do it in there. If you do it in Discord, it's a little bit easier to track the status of it because you can copy and paste the report ID and you'll get a message in there if any action is taken. So I kind of do recommend reporting in Discord, but you can do in game. And frankly, you can do F7 too sometimes. And we're also, this is another quality of life thing. We're improving the player report system. So you'll soon be able to go to a website or Discord or in game, and you'll soon be able to report multiple players or a whole group of people and have much more flexibility and ease with that reporting. Right now, as it stands, some people have trouble finding the Steam ID of who to report, and then they can't put a report in with our slash report functionality because they can't properly get the Steam ID. And we are addressing that in a future update of our reporting system. But for the time being, in those cases, just put an F7 in, and we do review the F7s on a master feed and have metrics to really hone that in as well.
I don't think we have more questions though.
Alrighty. Uh, well, yeah, we're about winding down here, and I think that would be a good time to call it quits. We are, once again, just 1 week away from the big update. So we will be back next Thursday, same time, same place, 1 p.m. Eastern here on Twitch. There's also, as always, an article every Thursday, first thing midnight Eastern time on Thursday, with uh, everything you need to know in text and images on Rustafied.com about what's going on in Rust development. So I encourage you to go check that out. Join our Discord. I've been on a real Discord kick lately and just really geeking out on customer service and communicating, with our player base and everything. So definitely join us on Discord. It's a good time, and there's great stuff in there. Also, there's map voting. If you guys don't know, that's another quality of life thing we added in the past year, where 28 hours before a server wipe, you can get one of three votes, one of three maps to vote on, and then the top vote wins. We're also reworking that voting system. We got spammed with a bunch of bots. It's like, thanks bots. We did not let that impact the result of any of our votes before we just did the draw. We removed the bots manually, but we've got a new system going live that requires a little bit more verification, but we'll have the bots not be a thing. But yeah, you can vote, you can talk, all that stuff. Discord, it's a good time. Check it out. But yeah, we're gonna leave it at that for the time being. I do want to thank my wonderful co-MCs here, Misty and Artemis, for joining me as always. Thank you guys.
You're welcome as always, Max.
Yep, you're most welcome.
And a huge thank you to everyone tuning in. A lot of people think that we're developers of the game or we're on the Facepunch payroll and they pay us to do this. That's not the case, actually. We're just an independent organization who loves this game, loves tracking development of the game, and running the best servers that we can. And the only way that we can continue to do that week after week, month after month, is through the support of the community. So, to everyone who tunes in and watches, to people who give bits, whatever the hell those are, people who subscribe on Twitch, and to our wonderful, loyal, beautiful VIP customers, thank you all so much for the ongoing support. Without you, we literally couldn't show up every week and do what we do and run the servers that we do. So, just from the bottom of my heart, really, thank you and much love to you all. And with that, we're going to go off. We got the US servers wiping in just over an hour, US main, small, Baron, and Zen Labs. So do check those out. We'll be back in 1 week for the forced wipe and the big update, and to tell you everything you as a player need to know about what's coming in the update. In the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week and a wonderful wipe. This is Bugs signing off.